Hey everyone, What's It Fox Gaming here. Apologies I've not uploaded a video for a few days or so. I've been quite busy theory crafting, getting ready for TU10. Really been enjoying some of the changes that the PTS has sort of shown us for the next season. So just been sort of getting prepared for that. But I do have quite an interesting build for you today. I do want to credit this build to one of my friends, Dr. Bean, who plays on Xbox. I did not come up with this build at all myself. I had a similar idea, but his is way better, and I've been able to put together a really good version of it. So I just wanted to show this build off because, I wanted to run something that's not quite meta and not really seen in the DZ. And when he ran this, it was the first time I'd actually seen it played this well. So yeah, with his permission, I'm going to introduce it to you all. As usual, any likes and subscribes do go a long way for me, and leave me some comments on your thoughts to the build. Put it together, have a play with it, let me know what you think. So this build is specifically designed to support your team when going Manhunt or just Rogue in the DZ. I'm going to try it in Conflict today just because it's a more controlled environment, and like my other videos I do like to show you the entire Conflict footage from start to finish because I just feel that accurately showcases a build. I don't want to put together a montage of all the best clips and not really show how well it works. So this will highlight its weaknesses and its strengths. So the purpose of this build is a tank that supports your team with a lot of heals. Your job is to take damage that your teammates would normally take, so that they can essentially kill the people that are shooting into you. So you're going to be incredibly sustainable, and keep your team alive at the same time. It incorporates very high armor. Ideally I would have this on 6 blues. Excuse me, 6 blues. But this is the best that I could do with the pieces that I've got, and to be fair, this still performs really well. So I run this with 3 Golan because Golan gives you armor regeneration and total armor. Armor regeneration is it's not the best stat in the game at the moment, but if you fully spec into it on every single piece and include some incoming repairs, it actually performs quite nicely, and that's kind of one of the points of this build. So 3 Golan gives you status effects, armor regeneration and total armor. The status effects is less important to me, but because I'm running this on Survivalist, which uses a fire grenade, and fire grenades have quite a big radius, this actually works quite well. I've added in a Richter and Kaiser piece for the incoming repairs, a Giller piece for the extra armor, and an Alps piece for some repair skills. The 2 talents that I choose to run are Efficient and Safeguard. Efficient, as we all know and probably hate, gives you a 50% chance to simply not consume the armor kit when you use it, and more importantly for this build, any specialization bonus is increased by 100%. So we've all seen this with Firewall. It's a little bit cheesy and difficult to come up against. It is getting a nerf in TU10, but this build will still work because it's not quite based on just running in and tanking for 10 seconds solid like you do on Firewall. Safeguard, as I'm sure you're aware, simply means that your skill repair is basically doubled when you are up full armor, and all of the armor regen on this build kind of helps you to keep at that point. The reason I'm running Efficient here is there's nothing to do with Firewall, it's all to do with Survivalist. So if you're not aware, Survivalist heals all of your teammates for 100% of their armor over 5 seconds when they're in 20 meters of yourself when you pop that medkit. I'll try and quickly show it off in the firing range, but 20 meters is quite a range. Now, because Efficient is doubling that bonus, you're actually giving your teammates 200% of all of their armor back over 5 seconds, and it ticks every second. So that's 40% of their total armor per second for 5 seconds. So quite simply, you're giving your team, all 4 of your teammates, including yourself, Firewall heals for 5 seconds. Well, more than Firewall heals technically. So it's really, really strong, basically keeping your team alive. And this is of course on a predominantly blue build, so you have that massive tankiness, but you can also heal up there with the best of them. So yeah, this is the medkit here. You do also have 15% outgoing healing on this specialization, so it doesn't apply to yourself admittedly, but whenever you heal other people it's just a boost. Of course, as I've already mentioned, you have the fire grenades here. And also, this is less important, but it's still useful with the fire grenades because you do get 7 in your inventory in the DZ. Group members get 10% damage to targets with status effects, and that applies to yourself as well. So if you've got other teammates that are running Firewall that set people on fire when their armor breaks, or if they happen to run the Imperial Dynasty holster, then this is only going to benefit your team even further. You do get increased skill haste when you're in cover as well. I tend not to use this in conflict, but in the DZ you can spend a lot of time in cover, so this just helps to keep your cooldowns a bit lower. So what you want to do with this build is, on every piece you want armor for your core attribute, and then for the non-core attributes, as you can see here, you want repair skills and armor regeneration, and you want this on every single piece. Now I've got that on most of my pieces, you know, not every piece admittedly, but that's just because it's quite a difficult build to put together, so I don't expect people to just be able to pull this stuff out of their vault or their stash, and have it ready to go. For example, this chest piece here has skill haste. I don't feel skill haste is needed on this build at all, but you know, it's not a bad thing to have. If we have a look at my stats here, so this is the chem launcher that I use, and this is the healing hive, so you want to use both of these. The chem launcher, and I don't believe this is factoring in the 15% to other people, so just add that in there. But if you look at the PvP armor repair, that's 300k. If safeguard is procced, that doubles to 600k. So I can heal somebody for 600k in an instant whilst they're in battle if I'm at full health. It does have a repair over time of about 54k as well, and that lasts for 6 seconds. That's 1 per tick, you know, so that's an extra 300k over time as well. The hive is a little bit lower, but it has a lot more charges, 19 charges. PvP healing is 100k per tick, but of course that is doubled when I have full armor. So the purpose of this build is just to heal your team as much as humanly possible. I do use a Reformation auto rifle here. This G36 isn't great, to be fair. I really need to just, you know, roll a different rifle. It's a bit, I don't know, I don't find it very consistent, to be fair, but it's the best to have it in the meantime, and I use this on my legendary PvE healer build, so I thought I'd put it on here. So yeah, really interesting build. It keeps you alive, it keeps your team alive. Not as strong in conflict, I will be honest, particularly if you're doing what I'm about to do here, which is solo queue. But when you're with a team, and you're trying to go manhunt, you want to pick a corner of the map. For example, the roof of the safe house on DZ south or east. So the safe house there, you can come out one of the doors and you're kind of on a rooftop, or any little corner that you can get in, and you'll keep your team alive for a long time. I did try this with a Costas instead of the Costas Go Bag, instead of a safeguard backpack, which is nice because it gives you lots of extra ammo, it gives you an extra armor kit, it gives you 3 extra grenades. So for those longer drawn out battles in the dark zone, that's really strong. But safeguard is a bit too good, so I ended up going with that. With regards to the 20 meter radius from your med kit, so that is, well, technically 19 meters away in the firing range. For some reason it's not quite 20, so you could have, you know, somebody as far away as that in any direction of yourself, and they're still going to get a huge heal, 40% of their total armor per second. This doesn't work very well with teams with low armor, because 40% of a lower armor amount is simply less healing. So luckily the meta at the moment is armor. You know, most people run high armor builds, and I think in TU10 that's only going to continue. Yeah, you definitely want to run this with your teammates that have high armor builds. If you are serious about manhunting in the dark zone, or going manhunt, and you're looking to get some sort of 100 plus ranks, you want your team to be running ideally 4 armor or higher, with maybe like versatile or wicked just to buff their damage. But even if they have relatively low damage builds, because you're so sustainable and you make them so sustainable, it's still completely viable. So yeah, that's the one sort of caveat to this build. It doesn't work very well with, well, 1 in solo groups, so this probably isn't going to work very well, and 2 with low armor builds for your teammates. So what we'll try and do now is find a game. I did try and test the armor regen, but for some reason it's bugged in here. If I damage myself, see it's not going up. I find that it usually goes up about one of those little notches there per second, which is about 50k. I think those entire bars of 5 notches are 250k. Although actually I think it even says it in your stats anyway, so I probably could just work it out. Oh, 38k, there we go. But that does stack with incoming repairs, so my incoming repairs on this build are 34.6%, so yeah, essentially an additional third of that 38k I'm getting back just per second, and that's at all times. There's no cooldown for armor regen, it's just constantly, you know, your armor is regenerating. So definitely try and get that Richter and Kaiser piece in there. Depending on the pieces that you use here, you may have incoming repair mods on, which I do, or you may be able to put repair skill mods on. I've not found that one is better than the other, to be fair. I mean, I think you want to have one of each ideally, but you know, I've had this with 3 blues and 3 yellows combination, and I didn't feel that one was stronger than the other. So the most important part is to ideally get your 6 blues with this combination of pieces. I did used to try this instead of the Gila and the Alps. I tried it with 511 because that's 10% health and 15% incoming repairs. That also works really well. But because you're so tanky with this build, you know, incoming repairs is good because you want your armour to be maximum so that safeguard procs. But I just found that this combination was a little bit better because 15% repair skills on top of everything else in here, and the Gila for the extra armour to put me at 1.8 million is fantastic. And until they buff the gear sets that include health, it's just a completely wasted stat. Everybody uses ARs in the Dark Zone and Conflict, and you know, the core attribute of all ARs is 21% health damage since it got buffed. So 330k health that you see there is nothing, and 10% of that, an extra 30k, is a complete waste. In my opinion, they need to buff any set that has 10% health to 25% just to make it viable, because there's literally no point in doing it at all.
Anything I can do for you?
So yeah, that's what you want to aim for. Blue on every single piece, repair skills and armor regeneration. And I appreciate that is not going to be easy to farm. Golan in itself is a pain to farm because it only ever really appears in New York. But of course now in TU 9.1 we can reset our control points. Don't farm pieces if it's a mission because it's terrible. You get no drops at all. You always want to farm if it's open world because you can just reset your control points. Just stick it on heroic, put on a couple of directives, run with a couple of friends, and you can actually put this build together quite quickly. Crafting is also an option, but again in TU 9.1 it doesn't work that well. So yeah, you're lucky if you get 1 in 20 good pieces. So this guy has a high armor build, that's perfect. And that famous bug there, you can probably see me spamming the B button in the bottom right. It doesn't let you come out of... yeah, never mind. So hopefully my team are full armor. So the way that I usually play this, I always play this with my clan. I never play this solo queue, but you know, as of the time of day today, very few of my clanmates are online, and it's just easier to stream and put a build together when I'm solo anyway, because I can take my time with it. Definitely don't play this solo. You know, contrary to what I'm doing here, you really want to play this with a group. And you're kind of the leader of the party, so it's your job to control the flow of battle. You want to be constantly reminding your teammates to be close to you. You need to be finding the most aggressive person in your team with the tankiest build and popping your heals on them. And you need to be very vocally communicating when you're popping your medkit. So when I'm popping my medkit, I'll literally say popping medkit, and then I'll tell them when it's done. So when they hear popping medkit, they know, or armor kit should I say, they will know that they need to be within 20 meters of me. Okay, we've only got 1 armor guy on this team, which kind of sucks, so I'll try and stick with him. Hopefully they'll join us. So yeah, 5 charges for my chem launcher and 19 for my hive, which is pretty good. And even with incredibly low skill haste on this build, that's plenty. You know, I get those back pretty quickly. So what I like to do here is take a bit of damage and pop the medkit. Now again, one of the reasons this build isn't great in Conflict is you only get 2 medkits, and the cost doesn't buff that. So that's not amazing, admittedly, but
Rogue Stinger Hive detected.
nice. Oh wow, there's a full screen team here. Let's go push it with this guy. So you probably saw how quickly my health went up there. Ooh, no, he's just run straight into a team by himself with low armor. That was crazy. That's not me rezzing him, I thought it was. Where are these guys? It's a bit of a slow game so far. Oh dear. Okay, this is my first game of the day, so you will have to excuse that poor accuracy. Oh dear. It's always good to warm up before you post stuff on YouTube. I'm going to let this hit me, just to demonstrate my armor regen. So I've got a bleed on me right now. let's get this heal. In fact, no, I'm going to pop my health kit here because I can give this guy some big heals. So watch how quickly that goes up. That is basically a firewall heal. Now that I'm full armour, I can pop my heals on this guy and it'll be, oof. Yeah, it'll do a lot more basically.
Serious
Oh,
trauma
really? Are these
detected.
guys just going to use skill builds all game? Okay, this is a bit disappointing. And one of the reasons people don't play Conflict at the moment is you do get teams that just sit back and constantly spam skills. I do have a skill build that I like to play, but I wouldn't ever encourage my entire team to do it, as it's a little bit cheesy in my opinion. But you know, I'm not here to tell people how to play the game. I'm just here to highlight what builds work well.
Boost.
There are
about to
definitely
activate.
certain compositions that I am not a fan of, though. I will be honest, as I'm sure we all have our little pet hates in this game.
Boost now active.
Let's get this down here, actually.
Rogue Stinger Hive
Look at that
detected.
heal. I have one skill tier.
Agent down.
Oh, no, these guys are just going to sit back and
Rogue
use
defender
skills, aren't they?
drone
That's really
detected.
disappointing. Really
Allies are
disappointing.
acquiring the boost. Rogue sniper turret detected. Allies have
So let me try and
acquired
get
the
into
boost.
my...
Rogue seeker mine detected.
So watch my armor regen here. I've got a bleed on me. Watch how fast it still goes up.
Rogue explosive seeker mine detected.
You see, that is absolutely flooding up, so it's really good. Yeah, very disappointing that we're coming up against guys that are just sitting back. Well, they certainly don't know how to react in a 1v1 fight, though. There you go, that'll teach him. That'll teach him. Right, I'm going to take this for this guy. Right, I'm going to pop off a med kit here. Let's give this guy some...
Assistance. Serious trauma.
That's a shame. I couldn't quite keep him alive there. Yeah, for anybody watching this, if you want to play skill builds, please don't do it with an entire team of 4 of you, because it's just not fun for anybody. Both teams included. Nobody wants to sit back in their own team, just pop skills all the time, and nobody wants to come up against it either. Thankfully, they're getting a bit of a... Ooh,
Agent
no,
down.
buddy, you're running by yourself. Wait, what? That's my teammate.
I'm sending you a specialization supply drop.
So yeah, it's really hard to die on this build. You know, you can heal yourself, you can heal your team. It's good fun to play. It just doesn't work very well in conflict. This is 100% a DC build.
Rogue Stinger Hive detected.
What I'm gonna do here is just chicken dance around this guy. Look at that. He's not killing me at all. This is unbreakable props. Yeah, you're very tanky with this build. Very tanky.
Explosive seeker mine detected.
Right,
Friendly
make it time.
claiming the supply drop.
An agent needs
That's
assistance.
not to get this indeed. Ooh, he's going to be upset by that.
The specialization supply drop was just picked up by a friendly.
There you go. So hopefully that was a good demonstration of
Rogue sniper turret
why this build is
detected.
awesome. We've got a one... Oh, there's a guy just over here. I see you, I see you. I do not see him. Okay, not sure where he's run off to. Yeah, these guys are very passive. Apart from this guy, who just keeps running in.
Agent down.
Halfway to the finish.
Oh no, my teammate just ran in and died again. Maybe that was my fault for not being there with him.
Vital signs critical.
Oh dear. Come on team, stick with me, I'm the tank.
Action.
It's kind of hoping these guys just
Agent
play around me
killed.
really, considering they can see how much armour I've got, but a couple of our low armour guys do seem to keep trying to run in there by themselves, which is disappointing. My guess is they're just getting frustrated coming up against a team of full skill builders, and I totally appreciate that.
An agent needs assistance.
Oh no, we're throwing lives away. Oh, is he going to survive? Is he going to survive? Can I get there to heal him in time?
Rogue seeker mine
Okay,
detected.
he's still up. And he's got the kill. Nice. You love to see it. Right, I'm going to go and support this guy because he looks like he's knee-deep in battle here. But yeah, imagine playing this build. You've got 3 of your friends with you. Come here, buddy. Come here, come here. I got you. Yes, he's got his EMP on. You've got 3 of your teammates with you, all with tanky builds, and they just never die. It's pretty good fun. Wow, these guys really are not pushing, are they?
Agent down. Boost about to come online.
Oh, clutch heal, clutch heal, clutch heal.
Boost online. Rogue explosive seeker mine detected.
Wait, what? One of these, there was a 5th guy here. I'm confused.
Rogue defender drone detected.
There he is.
The boost is being hit by allies.
Oh, unlucky.
Rogue sniper turret detected.
And this is what I like about this as well. You can really just run into your team, into the enemy team, and just take so much damage. You know, I've had engagements in the DZ where a few of my teammates have been dead, and I'll place down my... Let's get away with that. I'll place down my hive and my chem launcher and just keep chicken dancing back and forth. If you don't use that strat in the DZ, by the way, you definitely should. Just left and right at a similar time on both your left and right analog stick, or you know whatever that is on computer, on keyboard and mouse. And just this makes it very difficult for them to shoot you, especially if you're really close to them. This guy's pushing left, so I'm actually gonna.
An agent needs assistance.
I've got you, buddy. I've got you. I do not have you. Let's try and throw a grenade in there, shall we? I'm sure there's a guy there somewhere. Oh no! Oh, Chaos, no!
Rogue stinger hive detected.
I'm coming, buddy. Oh, he's still alive, he's still alive.
Agent down.
Ah. Yeah, let's go kill this guy because he's messing up my team.
Vital signs critical.
Really?
Agent down.
So what I just died to there was a sniper turret
Agent
sat in
vitals.
back. That's disappointing. The problem with fire chem launchers is they don't stack with status effects, they stack with explosive damage. So if you run 2 Seska, 1 China, and then like some skill damage in there, they do
Rogue seeker mine
stupid
detected.
amounts of damage, which is quite hard to come up against. But we're smashing this team, so I'm happy with that. I always like him against a team that all use meta
Supply
builds, or
drop
they
being
play very
claimed by
passively and
friendly.
hide behind skills.
The specialization supply drop has been claimed by an
Ooh,
ally.
he's definitely dead. Unlucky, bro. Nice, what a win. Okay, I'm happy with that. And that was a great way to showcase this build, because they were a difficult team to play against. You know, they were all very passive, apart from that one guy, using very high damage and skills. So it was the moment that we were out of position, they were punishing us, and fair play to them for it. They played it well. It's quite frustrating to come up against, but you know, that's part of this game, isn't it? It's learning what works well and learning from your mistakes. And yeah, you know, as I said before, this build does struggle solo, but let's have a look at the. I'm quite curious to see my damage numbers here, because it isn't a damage build, but you can definitely 1v1 skill builders. 100% you can. You know, their bleed damage does nothing to you, and you can just stand in your own heals and shoot them down. So you can definitely pull kills. So 3 kills, 4 assists, and 6 to 7 million damage. Yeah, I mean, I'll take that for a build that has literally 0 damage talents or weapon damage. So yeah, I've had worse games on a damage build, so I'll take it. This top guy on our team, though, he actually didn't die once, which is nice, so he played really well. So yeah, that's the build for you. See if you can put it together. It's not easy to farm, but I guarantee you'll have a great time when you do it. I'm going to try and upload some footage to YouTube of us going manhunt in the DZ, just to show how way more effective it is in that scenario. And yeah, you just let me know in the comments how you get on with it.